Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to Heiko Shaves. I am in a hoodie and I don't look like I'm going to be shaving here anytime soon. I have a ratty old hoodie on because I'm going to go into my garage here pretty soon with you guys. What we're going to do today is we're going to take care of those stinky or old brushes that you want to either get rid of the stink or restore and put a different knot into. So there are a couple different options what you can do. When we first did the shave with this number 24 Yachi brush, and I was complaining about the badger stink, you guys came through, you sent me recommendations to all kinds of home remedies. So you can use vinegar, you can use OxyClean, and just soak your brush in OxyClean and it will eventually take care of the stink. Washing it multiple times in hand soap and shampoo and conditioner and all that stuff, that will eventually work. I decided against a home remedy, but rather go with a commercially available option, which is the brush soap by PAA, Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. This stuff here is actually like a detergent. It has sodium borate in it. You might have heard of borax, which you can buy in the laundry detergent aisle in your supermarket, which is a laundry detergent booster. It's powder. And here's also white vinegar in it, which also helps with stink. So we're going to use this today for the Yachi brush. I'm not planning on throwing this away or cutting the knot out and put a new knot in it. I just want to get rid of the stink. I've already shaved with it a couple times now, and it's still pretty stinky. So we're going to use this here. Let's start with this. So what comes in this brush soap box? You just get a thing that looks like a soap, but it has those little pimples on the top. That's supposed to help the bristles swirl in between and pick up more soap. And it comes with a comb. And this brush soap is not just for the stinky brushes that you might have, but rather for a regular maintenance. So let's say you have a really fancy silver tip badger or whatever from Simpson or from some vintage manufacturer, or maybe you got your grandfather's old shave brush and you just want to keep it for, you know, memory's sake. This is a product that you can use just for regular maintenance. So we took it out of the box. It comes in a Ziploc bag, so you can actually, after you stick it back in there, stick it back in the box and neatly tug it away until you use it again. So, and then I guess here at this point I have to run water a little bit because we want to get the soap wet and the brush wet, just with some warm water. And then they give you recommendations on how to brush this stuff in. So in like a figure 8 pattern, you do that for 10 to 15 seconds. I always tend to make circles, but you can do circles in both directions. Figure 8, 10 to 15 seconds. That's going to be a lot of soap, by the way. The soap is not meant for your face or your you know, other body parts. This is specifically made as a anti-stink clean soap for brushes. As you can see, those nubs here, they go in between your bristles and go right in there, and I think this is plenty. So now wash off my other hand here so we can at least hold onto stuff. You just grab this little comb and you're gonna work it through the bristles. No force, or else you might break bristles and then you lose parts of your knot, and that's not good. So you can work your way through it, smear it back on, just get all the way in there, get in between those bristles. You might lose one or two as you're doing this, but natural bristle brushes like this badger here, they shed occasionally anyways. And so I should have done this right out of the gate when it was new and I noticed it's stinky. So then they recommend to just rinse it out with warm water and then to dry it and, you know, and then store it. But if you have the new badger stink and you want to get rid of that stink, they say to do the loading up procedure, 10-15 seconds of swirling around, then brushing through your bristles here. There's some knot in here. Hear that? I'm always hooking on something. Yeah, so to work it through and then not to rinse it out, but to rather let it sit and repeat the process tomorrow. And do that either 3 days in a row or as long as it takes until you get rid of the badger stink. So this is pretty much all you need to do. And then either rinse out or let it sit till tomorrow and do it again. So do that a couple days in a row, and the vinegar and the borate, sodium borate, is going to do the anti-stinking. Or like I said, if it's just a vintage brush that you want to really clean up, then you just rinse out, dry, and dry upside down. That's what I do. Get a little stand, very inexpensively from Amazon or wherever else you buy your shave supplies, and dry your brushes upside down so water doesn't go into the knot but out of the knot. Gravity will help you get the water out. I always shake them out. First squeeze a little bit, then shake them out, then I run it over a towel, usually. You come up with your own procedure. But when you shake it out like violently in the room, like shaking it with your long arm, the risk is that you might let go of that brush and then it crashes into your floor tiles and then you break your handle. Guess how I know? Because I did that once. I still have the broken thing as like a reminder of my shameful act. All right, so you can see a couple of the bristles are coming out. I just rinsed out the comb here. And it's actually a really pleasant, kind of a clean barbershop scent. So it's scented like a hand soap, but obviously it isn't a hand soap. So now we have massaged it in everywhere, and I'm just gonna let this sit and rinse, repeat tomorrow. Rinse it out, then do the process again, and then, you know, I'm assuming we will have taken care of the stink. So, and with the soap itself, you just rinse it off a little bit, and then you can let it sit on the edge of your sink for a little bit until it's dried off, and then you can put it away back in the bag and into the container, where the box, right? Together with that little comb. The comb is actually really a good idea. This is really, you know, simple product, but who came up with that idea? PAA? Are there other brands of brush soaps out there? I haven't seen one. I've only seen the PAA so far, but you guys let me know down in the comments. So now we're going to take care of this little puppy. This is a boar brush. It's a Ever-Ready C40. This was made in the United States and then sterilized. It doesn't stink really bad. It's just very stiff and very unpleasant. The bristle tips are really broad and thick and prickly, and I don't like it. It doesn't do it for me. So I bought a synthetic knot that fits into the opening, and we're gonna go down into the garage next to my drill press, and we're gonna cut it out and we're gonna insert a new one. Let's do that. All right, guys, so we're in my messy garage at my drill press. So if you want to restore an old brush, let's say this is your grandfather's old shave brush and you want to keep it, but you want to get rid of the old knot. Of course, you need the old brush. You need to measure at the base of the knot what diameter the opening in this handle is. Then you need to get yourself a replacement knot here. This is a silver tip shave knot. I don't know exactly where I bought it, AliExpress, I don't remember. So you need a knot that has the same base diameter than the old one. And for that you need a caliper. Maybe you are really good eyeballing it. So this diameter here at the bottom needs to be the same diameter that the hole has here in the opening. And then I would recommend you need a drill press. I don't know if you have to have a big one like mine or like a bench top. That should be fine. Then what I use is a vise. That's a normal vise that most every drill press should have. And I have those polymer or rubber jaws that I use for my bench vise, but they fit in here as well. They're held in place by a little magnet. They have a round cutoff where I can put the handle of the shave brush into here later when we get to it. Then I also added a bolt. So the vise is held in place, so I can adjust that. Of course, I can take it loose. I just have a 17mm wrench here. So now I can adjust the vise and then pin it down in position. And another thing that I have here to make life easier is a centering tool that you can put into your chuck, then center it perfectly where you want to drill something, and then take it out, put the drill in that you want to use, and then drill out your handle. But let's get to that here in a second. So then you need what's called a Forstner bit in the size of your knot. So if you have your new knot here and it's a 20 millimeter, you need a Forstner bit that's also 20 millimeter and makes a 20 millimeter hole into your handle so that your new brush will, or your new knot will fit into the opening. So that. And then of course we will need a utility knife with a new sharp blade to actually cut the old knot off. So let's do that next. Let's make a mess. I also have some masking tape here to put on here later to mix some epoxy, and I have some cheap epoxy from Harbor Freight. So just take your utility knife and just start cutting. It will make a mess for sure, and make sure you don't cut into your handle. I'm putting it onto my rubber jaws here. That's perfect location for it. Don't cut yourself in the finger. I just turn it around and around and around and around until we eventually make it to the center of this and get rid of all the bristles. Good. And I don't know exactly what kind of glue they would have used back in the days. There are two different approaches. Some people use just bathroom silicone and glue the new knot into a handle, which is a more removable option. So you can yank on it and get the knot out later. But I'm not planning on doing this every 5 minutes here. So I'm just going to use epoxy. And the epoxy is more like a permanent situation. So if I would ever want to remove this again, I would have to do the same thing with drilling and all that again in like 20 years, right? All right, see that lump there? But I already have an idea what we're going to do about this. So let's say you're not quite happy with the flatness of the surface here. And there's still three bristles hanging on to dear life here. Sorry for my nasaliness. Allergy season is up on us. You can also, if you are worried about the finish of your handle, you can take some masking tape and just put some masking tape over it and around the handle. Quick little file. And we're just filing down the center. Maybe I can even use my bolt, tighten up my vise. You might be asking, why is he doing that now? It's just going to be easier, first of all, to find the center and also to drill into it when it's a flat surface rather than like a hump. So flat surface, bristles all gone. Let's clean this up a little bit. So now we need to find the center. Of course there are ways of doing that. I'm just going to eyeball it here really honestly. Stick that in your vise here. Don't really need to tighten it all that much because you're not going to use it to drill anything. What I'm only going to be accomplishing with this is centering the drill axis, so to speak, with the center of your workpiece. Now I'm going to make sure I tighten down my vise here without moving it, if I can. Nice and tight so that it doesn't wobble out of location. And I actually have a second bolt that I'm going to be employing here so that the vise really stays in place. It would be kind of a shame if it suddenly moves out of location. And now we're going to check one more time if we're still in the center. Yeah, that's pretty good. So, and then we can take this centering tool out and put the Forstner bit in its place. And this one definitely needs to be tightened up. And then you also can check the Forstner bit has a tip. If your tip also goes to your center, which looks good. So you don't really need the centering tool, you can just use it with a Forstner bit. Now we need to make sure it's too fast. You want to run the Forstner bit slow. So we're going to change some belts up here real quick. Looks like now. Very good. All right, let's get started. We're tightened up. Get all the loose items out of the way. And the Forstner bit has a really sharp tip that will go right in the center. We're getting there. I can see the bottom of the old knot. A clip with my camera here on my phone. So here's a look at what the bottom looks like. You can see the knot is gone, and this is just a air bubble that they left in the old glue, and we're going to drill this out. Oh, no. I had no idea, but this knot, this handle is like absolutely hollow. I had no idea. Didn't expect that. So yeah, we made ourselves a little bit more work. If I would have researched this, I would have probably found out that those ever-ready handles are completely hollow, which I could have probably found out online somewhere from someone who has done this before. But yeah, didn't expect that. I thought it was a resin handle just like everything else, but it wasn't. I'm gonna cover up the entire handle with blue masking tape, just so if I spill some epoxy, it will not get on the handle. So, now, brand new package of epoxy here. You're supposed to mix this 50-50. We're just going to eyeball it, I think. I'm going to turn on some light here so I can see into the opening. So we're going to totally eyeball this. I have now JB Weld. Comes in the actual material and the hardener. Oh, this is also black, huh? So we're just going to eyeball it, squeeze the tube in here. Would be nice if we have epoxy that comes out of one of those plunger tubes, might mix it on a model, but I don't have that. Here's now the hardener, and we're just going to squeeze it down to a size that's similar to that. Then we know that we have roughly 50-50. This is not a strength requiring application. This is white, so then it's going to be gray, I guess, in the end. And we're not going to fill it all the way up. We're just going to fill it, let's say 90%. And then we can do the last fill or the last little bit when we put the knot in. Yeah, that's about it. 50-50. And now we're going to use a wooden Q-tip that I have here in my shop. And I use that for all kinds of things. I'm going to just go in here and mix it. I have this cute little flathead screwdriver. That's better. So now I can actually stir it around. And I just noticed we only have it about half filled, but that's fine. Let it harden and do another layer. That's better than overfilling it. So now it's just waiting time until this is hardened, then we fill it again, and then maybe get it to, this is probably 60% filled, then we get it to 90%, let that harden, and then we do the final glue in of the knot. Here's a quick look into the mess. Like I said, not full yet, but we'll get there.
Many hours later.
So our first fill has nicely settled in there, and it's already hard. And now we're just going to do a second layer, just like we did before. First squeeze in the material. And I ultimately want to get it full enough that we end up somewhere in here, and then I can actually drill out the position for the knot. So we're just going to squeeze in more.
Many hours later.
So the second layer is hard, and now we're going to do the last little fill before we then will drill this again to a acceptable depth. Let's see if this is enough epoxy to get this to a level that I want.
Many hours later.
All right, guys. So a good while went by. There is a little bit of some hardener just hanging out here. What we're going to try to do is peel the orange masking tape back all the way to the edge. So if there's any unhardened material that went over the edge, it's not going to, mess up things. When I take the orange tape off, we also will be able to see the outline of the hole a little better, because we're going to have to drill this again. And then I'm going to clean up the entire thing to make sure we don't have any residue of this epoxy. My Stanley utility knife blade from cutting off the bristles, and the glue has taken quite a beating. So let's see if we can remove this little bit of a lip here. Oh yeah, all right. And then I have another type of epoxy which cures clear. And that's what we're going to do, or use, to glue in the new knot. All right? Oh no, it wasn't cured at the very bottom. It wasn't cured, it has come loose. I messed it up again. Oh my goodness. But at least it has come out in one piece. All right, we're not done yet, guys. I'll have to do it again. I'll have to fill it up again. Good thing is, where the first batch came from, there's more. Oh no. No, see. I don't need to see one.
Many hours later.
Hey, good evening, guys. So I want to bring my little experiment to an end here. This is the PAA brush soap that we wanted to try out, or I wanted to try out. And I have now, over several days in the evening when I come home from work, just given this brush a little lather up with the soap. Always rinse out the old, there's still soap in here. Then lathered it up again, gave him the little treatment here with the comb that comes in this kit, with this one here, and just worked the soap in there. Only takes like 20-30 seconds, and then I let it sit here on the edge of my sink. And now I want to rinse this out real quick and give it a good sniff test. So I also found a way of really nicely rinsing out brushes. So if you have here, this is the Timeless shave bowl that was sent to me. Has those ribs down there that kind of help agitate the lather. But here in this case, I'm going to use it to actually get all the soap out of this brush. So if you stick this in here, you let water, warm water, run into the top of it. So the bowl is kind of half filled with water, and you are doing your lathering motion. That works the brush and washes all the soap out of it. And I'm going to do that here real quick. Just warm water, and I just swirl it around in this bowl. Give it a good, push down kind of against the backbone of the brush. And that really gets all the soap out of this brush because you're using the natural, lathering motion. And it also helps with natural bristle brushes to get the loose bristles out of those knots. And then after just a short period, there is no soap left in the brush. So let me shake it out real quick, and then I'm going to stick my nose in it, and we'll see if there is still some badger stink in there. It still smells like a fiber that has a scent to it. Kind of like a wet dog. You get all the fur of a dog wet. It has a smell to it, even if you just washed your dog with shampoo. But it's by far better than it was before. And really, it costs what, $9, the soap with a comb here. And I told you guys that this contains sodium borate and white vinegar. this is pretty much as good as it will be as a product to clean a stinky brush. And in the process, you're also breaking down the bristles, you're making them softer, you spread out the knot quite nicely because you're constantly working it. In 3 days, it didn't take me much effort at all to do it. Really 20-30 seconds in the evening, just lathering it up, and then a little bit of some combing, you know, the typical going through the bristles. And much better than it was. But I gotta say, yeah, I have my self-made badger that I just bought a cheap knot for and glued it in myself, and I just got that wet with the same warm water, and I just want to do a little sniff comparison. So this still has a little bit of a, you know, kind of wild animal smell. In this one, a little bit of some scent too, but not as. Actually, it's about the same. And this has still a little bit more soap scent to it too. And by the way, this soap brush, it's actually a really pleasant, kind of a clean soap smell. So I really like it. I think it's worth it. Makes life easier. If I ever come across a really stinky badger again, I will try some of those home remedies with you guys. But for the time being, I think this was enough of an experiment. Took me 3 days to complete, always in the evenings, and I think this is acceptable now. A little bit of a stink left, but we're going to be using it for shave soap, which usually also has a really strong scent, and this will eventually go away, I think. All right, so that's that, and now we're going to head down to the garage, and we're going to take a look at the ever-ready handle that we drilled out, and trying to put a new knot into it. Let's finish that up today as well. So this is the experiment here. Finally, I got it all filled up with epoxy from Harbor Freight. Dries in a gray color, and this stuff was actually much more liquidy than the JB Weld brand epoxy that I had. So this actually worked really well because it was kind of self-leveling. So it was thinner, leveled out nicer, and it took much longer to cure. It says 120 minutes to be dry to the touch, and then 24 hours. So this was quite a long waiting period. I still have it all wrapped up, only the top. Now I'm going to line this up again here with our Forstner bit. That is exactly the same size as the knot that we're going to be putting in here. All right, let's see if we're still somewhere in the ballpark here. I just want to not really drill it out, but I want to, there is a little bit of some smear on the outside edges from me filling it in and stirring it. I just want to clean those edges up. Here, let's turn on that light. I hope I'm not over boosting the picture right now, but just drill out so that yeah, you need to drill it out deep enough so that this glue section will disappear in the handle. I don't want to take this loose because it's nicely lined up right now. I'm just going to take my chuck key and take the Forstner bit out briefly. Yeah, that's almost good. So the knot is nice and tight all the way around the hole. It really fits in there really well. This is also a nice rough surface for the epoxy, the next layer of epoxy to stick to. Now let's zoom out a little bit. Right. Let's stick this together one more time. So, cleaned up the surface here a little bit. It's really not complicated. What I do is I just use some masking tape. You can also just take a piece of paper. Take your 2-part epoxy. So this is also from Harbor Freight. It's clear. Also takes forever to cure. I think it's 24 hours. Those little epoxy tubes. They're really kind of like one-time use. All right, here's component number 1. And then component number 2. So one is the actual epoxy, the other one is the hardener. You just squeeze 2 blobs next to each other that are kind of the same size because you want a 1-to-1 ratio. And then I usually just use those wooden Q-tips here. And oh yeah, you also want to have your brush ready, right? So now I'm mixing this together. It's like I said, it's going to stay clear. So you don't really know if your mixing ratio is perfect, but as long as you have about the same amount of material next to each other, it's fine. Mix, mix, mix. Just taking a little blob. Put that blob here at the flat surface. I mean, it's a flat surface, so you really don't need to put too much in there because the 2 parts, they will sit flush on top of each other pretty nicely. You want to, like a thin layer all the way across without smearing it to the outside of your handle, obviously. So you got to be a little careful. Just picking up a little more. And then put that over here. Take the bottom, because you want to fill up the voids, the hollow sections. If this knot here, the glue end of the knot is not super flat, then the parts might not stick to each other. I'm not putting anything on the outside because I'm just going to smear it on the handle. So just at the bottom. And then we're just going to stick it in there. And then you grab your knot and stick it together, push it down. Like that. And then let it sit for a day or 2. And that's pretty much it. And I guess the next time we will see this knot, it's going to be in action in Heiko's bathroom. You can also make sure that you have your knot straight in your handle by just turning it a little bit. But this is not going to come out once it's cured. This is not going to come out anymore. Alrighty guys, so that was another little technical experiment, exchanging a knot in an old ever-ready shave brush and also trying out the soap. Yeah, you saw the results. I mean, the badger brush still smells like a natural fiber, but definitely not this badger butt smell. And then this little knot here, I guess it's safe to pick up. I think this is going to turn out pretty nicely. And now instead of having boar bristles that are really stiff, I will have this nice little synthetic knot. I don't even know where it came from. AliExpress, I think. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy how that all turned out after the initial shock that I had when I saw that this handle is all hollow. But you guys could have warned me. Alrighty guys, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.